Yeah, let me just see if it's on your if it shows up on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, well, we're live right now, so it should show up. I just want to make sure that people can actually enter and um, chat with us live, because otherwise that kind of defeats the purpose. Yeah, the new YouTube is trash, man. They've been doing all these ridiculous changes that really hurt a creator's ability to interact with people and um, conduct business using their platform.
I haven't used YouTube Live in a minute.
Okay, it looks like we're live. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're live.
Is there
Um,
anybody in here?
yeah, yeah,
Where can I? Well, I'm probably looking at something different than you.
yeah. You have to go. Unfortunately, you have to go to my YouTube channel just to see the live chat. So it's really kind of a frustrating situation. As I said, this new YouTube is really not making sense because if you're in Hangouts, which we are, we can't see them. So I have to click out of Hangouts and talk to people. So here we are,
That's
and it's
weird.
it's yeah, it's really freaking weird. And shout out Bufo, he's a member of MEC. Shout out Elvin. Shout out Carla. Shout out Crazy Compilation. Um,
Okay. So what are we talking about tonight? What do we got to talk about?
so what I wanted to talk about was something that I kind of went off on a rant about last night, late last night, which is music marketing, because I have a lot of recording artists contacting me all the time. You know, they want to work with me on beats, right? But then they also want to know what kind of marketing campaigns I offer. You know, can I break their record, this and that, and all, all these marketing options. And what's crazy to me is that I'm a producer. I'm not a marketing guy. I don't advertise marketing services. So why are so many people who are recording artists willing to throw their money at all of these different marketing options that aren't necessarily reputable? If I wanted to be a scumbag and take people's money for something I'm not qualified to actually offer, you know what I'm saying? I would make a bunch of money just saying, yeah, send me $100 and I'll tweet about your record. Trust me, there are a lot of people that do that. But at the end of the day, that's not going to help artists at all. And I think, ironically, um, most of check. I think, ironically, most of yeah, man, my sound.
I can hear you fine.
All right, my sound keeps acting crazy on mine. So as I was saying, I think, ironically, most of the marketing tools and tactics that an upcoming recording artist or a producer, anybody, can really use to build an authentic following are free. You don't need to throw money at these marketing packages. And I figured, who better to bring on to talk about this stuff but Dame Ritter himself, who's actually had a lot of experience marketing. You've run a record label. You've marketed the projects on that label. You've marketed a ton of other projects. You're marketing this MEC tour in a way. I mean, we're outsourcing a lot of this stuff, but you're acutely aware of all of the tools that um well, when you were a part of Funk Volume and that was alive and well, Funk Volume utilized a lot of free tools to market their music. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I mean it's heavy social media. But with Funk Volume, we also have the advantage of like being able to approach it as a team and being able to coordinate the team efforts to cross promote amongst one another, just to kind of get everybody moving in the same direction and having that support from different angles, kind of circumvented some of the algorithms that you or the reach issues that you'd have on your own. But we had email lists, we had text marketing that we would send out. We had a PR person eventually, but we would also come up with like more unique ideas like contests. It really just comes back to understanding your brand. I was literally just having lunch today with somebody that's going to be at the Denver MEC tour stop, Lil Fresh Sam. She's a branding expert. She's a stylist, branding expert. And we were talking about that, just the importance of really understanding your brand. Because once you understand your brand, you should be able to come up with a lot of ideas once you know what you're about, you know, what your messaging, what's important to you, all that stuff. Once you have all that stuff down, you know, you should be able to come up with ideas really quickly. You know, so if for some reason dogs were a big part of your brand, you had a big love for dogs, then obviously, you know, you could reach out to some potential rescue organizations or dog organizations, or you can put pictures of your dog in your stuff, like, and you can hone in on other dog lovers and connect with your fans in a different type of way and beyond the music. So it all starts with understanding your brand, your messaging, and then you can come up with some creative ideas from there with other platforms or personalities that might share the same you know, the same interests, you know, or the same target audience. um, but yeah, we're actually thinking about doing something on the spot with Brandman Sean in LA. If people are familiar with Brandman Sean, he puts out a lot of marketing, branding videos. Because we're trying to come up with kind of a an exercise we can do on the spot at the MEC tour, so people can really understand what I'm talking about when you really know your brand. So that'll be an exercise we do on the MEC tour. We're trying to figure it out right now, but it's along the same lines of what I just brainstormed with, you know, being a fan of dogs, if that was part of your brand. So
Yeah, so you're touching on the creative aspect, and I think that's an important conversation to have with people because a lot of people will sit there and say, "I have no idea how to market my music. I'm just going to copy and paste this link a million times." And these are creatives that are doing this. I mean, the people that are on social media all day just posting a Reverb Nation link or a SoundCloud link over and over and over again, and I've talked about this, they're hurting themselves because the algorithm is seeing that no one's paying attention to it after the third time that you post it. So now they're going to bury every single one of your posts after that because the last three didn't do well. That's something that people don't understand and they need to. But beyond that, it's not creative, it's not inventive. And what's crazy is that it's artists doing this. These are creators. These are people who get in the studio and make art out of nothing. And when it comes to marketing, it's essentially the same approach. You have to do something artful, you have to do something creative. So how does your art relate to your marketing? And that's one of those questions that a lot of people don't really ask. Now, the other elephant in the room has to do with another tweet that I sent that gained a lot of traction, which was that there are so many marketing, and I work with recording artists, rappers, singers, managers all the time, and they're constantly coming to me saying, "What do you think about this company? For $200, they'll get me on such and such a playlist, or for $300, they'll get me on these websites, or what do you think about this PR firm? For $500, they're going to work my record to all these DJs, or what if I can pay, this person $75 to blast my song out to 500,000 industry connects." My statement on that was that all of that is a scam, and no $300 marketing package is going to get you anywhere. That's my opinion.
yeah, no, I would agree, because most of the time what artists are looking for is just like a shortcut. If you can't come up with ways to get at least some initial organic traction, then there's something wrong with the content or just your approach. I've never seen any of those services really work for anybody. There's never been an artist that's come back to me and said, "Yeah, I paid $200 to get my music blasted out to X amount of music industry connects, and I got signed from it." Like I've never heard of a positive experience from any of those services. You know, it's all about learning yourself, you know, what you're, again, going back to your brand, what your messaging is about, and creating some of that momentum yourself, you know, because if you're not, the way I feel about it is if you're not moving at all on your own, like there's no way anybody else can help you. And if they have to force feed it down people's throats, you know, there's probably some going back to the drawing board that you need to do with your content. Uh, that's how I feel about it. You know, cats would just be looking for shortcuts. And if you're a creative, you know, you got to get just as creative with the marketing. Um, you know, so I feel the same way, Payne.
So here's another thing, and someone just brought it up. Bufo brought it up, and you've talked about. I'm pretty sure you've talked about this. We talk about playlists all the time. There are all these new emerging services out there that offer playlist placements. Let me preface this by saying I recognize that playlisting has major power. Um, Spotify and YouTube are sources of music discovery, period. You know, a lot of people are focused on radio. I went on this long rant um, last night on Twitter saying that unsigned artists should not be focused on commercial radio. I don't even think most independent artists should be on focused on commercial radio. Tech Nine didn't focus on commercial radio until he was like 15 years into his career.
Right.
Um, but the other part of that is that not all playlists are created equal. And Bufo asked, how about a one-time $20 payment to be put in a Spotify playlist of 10,000 listeners? Now, that sounds great on paper, but you've had experience, Dame, with checking in on some of these playlists and seeing that those followers aren't legitimate. I believe we've had this conversation, right?
Yeah, or something similar to it. I mean, there's a lot of playlists on Spotify now, and there's a lot of dead playlists too. Like, you know, even if it has a certain amount of followers, that doesn't mean that there's active listeners now. You know, there's a lot of playlists on Spotify where the last song that's been added to that playlist was like a year ago or 2 years ago, and even though people are quote unquote following it, nobody's really listening. And then there's playlists with like 300 songs, you know, and sometimes you'll get placed on a playlist with 300 songs and your song is like number 292, you know. So, like you said, all playlists aren't created equal. Playlists are definitely a way to get exposure, and there are artists that have kind of gotten onto a decent amount of playlists, and then their songs going to get caught up in the algorithms on Spotify and start getting suggested because their algorithm is based on, you know, not just the number of plays, but the number of saves, the number of times the song is listened to, how long into the song is listened to, if it's played via Spotify radio, like are people listening to your song and then skipping? Like there's so many different variables, and sometimes by being added to playlists, like songs just kind of generate more and more plays because they tick all the boxes, you know, of what Spotify is looking for in a song with potential. There are some companies that are good at getting on playlists. However, I wouldn't use that as like your number one promotional. If that's what you're depending on, like some type of company to get your music popping on Spotify, like to me that's a bad strategy if that's the only thing that you're doing. Because at the end of the day, it's very difficult to, like, if people are finding you on Spotify, it's hard to convert that listener to a fan because a lot of times like people are listening to Spotify and it's just going. You know, they might like the song, they might favorite the song, and they might never look at your profile. They may never look into who's actually singing this song. It's just sitting in their playlist. So it's hard to scale that person up from just like a listen to an actual fan that follows you on social media and eventually comes to a show. I think that's something that Spotify is trying to work on in terms of giving you guys tools to allow somebody to go through that process of a listener to converting it to a fan. But it's a difficult thing to do. So if you're just depending on Spotify or playlist plays to get fans, long term fans, and to really build that relationship, it's going to be tough to do. and you're probably going to spend a lot of money doing it. So it can be part of your marketing strategy, but it definitely shouldn't be, the majority of it.
And I'm going to say something that I hate to say, but it's the absolute truth. These days, people are desperate for money. It's the wild, wild west out there. There are so many amazing, legitimate voices in the independent music community, but there are a lot of companies springing up almost overnight whose sole purpose is to just scam hungry and desperate artists with these enticing offers and these services that don't actually get them anywhere. And part of that includes playlists. And so let me just paint a scenario for you. And this does happen, unfortunately. I create a playlist, right? Cool. Have you ever seen, and this is on Spotify, have you ever seen services out there that offer you, just like how on Instagram you can buy fake followers, or on YouTube you can buy fake views? There are services for Spotify that offer you fake subscribers, fake listeners, and fake plays. So if I invest $50 or $100 or however much into a Spotify playlist and get 10,000 fake subscribers or followers to that playlist, and then I turn around and sell placements on those playlists for $20 to $30, I make my money back after just 5 placements, maybe even 4, depending on my price point. This stuff does happen, unfortunately. So when it comes to spending your money, your hard-earned money as an independent or unsigned artist, you really have to research these services before pulling that trigger. Because there is, and the worst thing that can happen is you spend that money and then you end up getting completely jaded and you don't want to ever try legitimate services again. Because there are legitimate services, there are good people out there that will help you. But I think one great way to combat that is to just learn as much as you can how to do it yourself, so you're not relying on these other services. Because you could sit around and say, okay, this person's going to handle my Spotify, this service is going to handle my YouTube, this service is going to handle my Instagram, this service is going to handle my Facebook ads. And when it all what it all boils down to is you're spending all this money on people that don't care about you like you care about you. They could be scamming you over here, they could be slacking over here, this could be totally fake over here. You're never going to know. But if you learn how to do it all yourself and you do it consistently, number one, you're the most invested. Number two, there's no smoke screen. You see all the numbers, you know where your money's going, you know where your energy's going. And number three, it all comes back to you. It's not benefiting some third party. And I think now is a good time to remind people that we are going on tour to have these conversations live. And we're getting even deeper because we're talking about a topic that people are always asking me about. I know they're asking Dame about it, which is publishing, right? And we have an actual expert that can really explain this stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna be dope. But just to quickly comment on the marketing service, man. If I was gonna use any marketing service and I was really thinking about spending my money, I would just simply ask them for some references. Can I talk to some artists that have used your service that are happy with their performance, or go to their social media and see what the comments are under. Are people leaving good comments, bad comments? If there's artists on their website that they're saying use the services, try to reach out to the artist via social media. Did you really use this service? If so, how did it go? Were you pleased with it? Did you even know you were on this website, promoting their services? Just reach out and ask some people before you start spending hella money. That's what I would do if I was thinking about, hiring somebody to do something, especially if I'm spending over 1,000 a month or something like that.
Yeah, and I'm gonna post a link to our tour, and you can see if we're coming to your city. this is only going to be the first run. This is the first time we've ever done anything like this, and I think it's the first time anything like this has really been done, where we hit the road and really just have these conversations and private workshops with musicians to focus entirely on stuff like music marketing, brand building. Because in reality, if there's anything that I could say, if there's a way for me to summarize the Music Entrepreneur Club, which is the music mentorship platform that we all run along with Cato on the track. If there was one way for me to summarize that, it would be showing unsigned and independent artists their own power over their careers. And
For
that's
sure.
yeah, and that because that's big because a lot of us don't realize it. A lot of us think we need to spend money on all these services. A lot of us think we need to just wait for a label to come and do everything for us, and we're just going to skate off our talent alone. And in reality, it's it's way more safe. It's a lot safer. It's a lot more rewarding, and it's a lot more profitable if we learn this stuff ourselves. And there's so much we can do on our own. We just have to learn it piece by piece. But we at Music Entrepreneur Club bring those resources to you, and if our users demand that we cover something like we covered gain staging last week, Cato and I, they wanted to talk about publishing, so Dame had Song Trust on this week. Then we're going to bring those topics, and we're going to find experts to give you the best information because the internet's full of terrible, terrible information, really terrible.
So I'm looking at the comments on my phone as I'm doing this. I see somebody said we should go to the San Jose Convention Center. Um, that San Jose is not far from Berkeley, so hopefully you make it to the Berkeley one. And even if your city's not on the list, please share it with people that you think do live in those cities, because if these first five are a success, that gives us the confidence that it needs to be rolled out to other cities. And we'll definitely hit the road and do a second and maybe a third leg of the tour should these first five be successful. And I think they will. Like the initial feedback has been extremely positive. The support has been great. I'm actually excited to hit the road, but I'm pretty sure these are going to go well because there's so many cities that don't get a legit music industry event. So the MEC tour is kind of trying to fill that void with both music professionals from outside your city, but within your city as well, because we're reaching out to some of the movers and shakers that are already on the ground in your city, so we can learn from them, from you guys, and apply what we know as well, and hopefully just have some very good conversations, and everybody leaves, knowing something that they didn't know prior to the event. So I'm looking forward to it. If it's anywhere near your city, if you're serious about your career and it takes, I would say, anywhere within a 2-hour driving radius, you should pull up and come to this. I definitely think it'll be well worth your time. So please do come out if we're anywhere near your city.
Now the topic of Instagram marketing is coming up, and I'm still dumbfounded that we were able to do. How many Instagram followers are you at right now with MEC? Almost 25,000.
Almost 22,000, but we've been growing about 1,000 a week, and I think it's a combination of a lot of things, but I think more than anything, it's just about being consistent. Um, I was talking about this too earlier with Fresh Little Sam, and I was saying, I've never seen like anybody with a lot of talent, whether they're artists, comedians, whatever they are, if they're consistent putting out content, they have some structure to what they're doing, and they keep at it. Like I've never seen anybody not progress.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we've seen with our MEC page. Like the way that Payne, Cato, and I kind of divvy the responsibilities is we have a week, we want to post every day. So we just split up the days, and we each mark on our individual calendars the days that we're supposed to post. and we just hold ourselves accountable to post, to making sure we post that day. And if for some reason, I can't post that day, I'll send a text to Kato and Payne and be like, look, I'm tied up with the fam. Do one of you guys got something to post today? Boom. And somebody steps in and covers. So, we kind of attack it as a team, but I think just the consistency and the quality of what we're doing, has led to us really growing that page, and it's been cool. I think the Instagram page has been kind of the primary lead magnet to getting the members into our club, and selling tickets on for the MEC tour. So it's very valuable for us, for sure.
And to comment on that, especially with Cato's a great example of that. But because I'm a creator, I can put it into terms that maybe other creators understand. The way I make beats, I had to start making content. Cato's definitely someone who does that, and it works for him. He's killing everybody in terms of producer branding. But with his approach and with my approach now, and I've borrowed a lot from him, taking time every day or a couple times a week just to focus on creating content that isn't your music is always going to be valuable. And obviously it takes the same creative approach that it takes to make a beat or write a song or sing a hook, or vocal produce a dope harmony. And with me, as you can see, I'm putting content out on my YouTube all the time. If you check our Music Entrepreneur Club Instagram page, we're just trying to add value by creating micro content, so like short form content, like 60-second videos, because that's all that Instagram allows, but bringing up topics for our audience. We're not going to start sharing cooking tips because our audience are unsigned and aspiring music industry professionals. So we're going to create micro content that focuses on topics that they're interested in, like marketing music or copyright law for musicians. So, what can you do in order to create content that people like and will consume and will keep coming back for, and content that only you can create? They can't go somewhere else and find it. With the exception of, I find that memes and inspirational quotes and things that you really stand by, whether it's in line with your sense of humor or is it consistent with your branding, there's a lot of copyright-free stuff floating around the internet that you can share, and people tend to gravitate towards that. But I would not advise you to just turn your social media profiles into a page where you post other people's content all the time. At some point, you can start creating your own memes, creating your own videos, and so forth. But yeah, being unique.
Again, that goes back to just knowing your messaging, knowing your branding. Like, I've seen people, I've had friends that have created like meme pages, and they got to hundreds of thousands of followers, and then like they make that one post, it's like their actual product, and people rebel, or there's no, because all of the meme didn't have anything to do with what they were trying to sell. When they do try to post it, it gets like 1 or 2 likes, where the funny or the ridiculous stuff gets thousands. So you have to stay on brand. Why would you want to post? Why would you want to bring people to your page that aren't your target audience, that you're not trying to lock in as a fan for a lifetime? You have to be authentic. You have to come up with stuff that makes sense for you. It doesn't have to be music. A lot of it shouldn't be music, but obviously, if you're Action Bronson, he's heavy into weed, he's heavy into cooking. So all of those things, once you say cooking, that just opens up, maybe you do a recipe every Tuesday, and you're showing people how to make, your favorite meal every Tuesday, or one of your favorite meals every Tuesday, and then he smokes weed. Maybe he's smoking weed while he's doing that, or maybe there's a different weed post dedicated to the weed heads on Thursday that he puts out every day, every Thursday at 4:20. You just have to lock in your target audience and make content that's going to resonate with them and get them more attached to what you're actually doing.
Okay, here's a good question for you, Dame. Um, there's a conversation taking place in the comments about how to approach people on Instagram. And we already talked about how just obviously spamming doesn't work. I have a DM full of people just doing nothing but sending me links to their music saying, check me out, check me out, check me out. And then there are the people that are a little trickier that will contact you and say, hey, man, I really like what you're doing. And you say, thanks. And they say, hey, check me out. And it's just kind of a trap. So that's a quick and fast way to annoy people and burn bridges. What would you suggest as a more authentic and effective approach for networking, I guess, on Instagram with the hopes of eventually gaining fans or gaining customers?
I mean, I think it all starts with dope content. Like even so, back in the day when we started the funk volume in like 2008, 2009, like I would hit people up and ask them to listen to our music, but eventually I realized that was a waste of my time. So we had to focus on putting out good content, interacting and engaging with the people that did rock with the music, and creating that really close relationship, and eventually we let the fans speak for us. That's ultimately what we did. If you do want to network with people, you have to be patient. um, Timing is a big part of networking, right? Like there's even people to this day that I have contact information for, but I've never hit them up because it's not a close relationship and I didn't feel like I had anything of value to offer them yet. However, when Music Entrepreneur Club gets to a certain point and I feel like there's a mutual value that can be exchanged, like I'll hit those people up and say, hey, would you like to get involved? Because I think it would help them out. So a lot of times people get contact information and they want to hit them up right away just to kind of, it strokes their ego because they got somebody's contact information and they want to share that, and then they might turn around and share it on Twitter. Yo, I just had a conversation with Russell Simmons, and it's like, yeah, but is he going to remember that conversation? Is there going to be a second conversation? Did you hit him up at the right time? So timing is huge when it comes to networking, and being able to communicate your value is a must if you want to network, as opposed to, I think like you said a couple of days ago, asking strangers for favors. Are you asking strangers for favors, or are you really networking?
Yeah, absolutely. Another interesting question we had is, let me see. Um, I'm starting from the ground up. What's a way we can schedule and stay focused with working 9 to 5 every day? And that's a good question. How do we balance working a 9 to 5 with trying to build our music up? My thing is, a 9 to 5 has structure, it has predictability, it has consistency. In other words, we can learn a lot from a nine to five. Hear me out. When you show up to a day job, right? You show up at the same time every day. You don't leave until your job is done, or what, until your shift is over. You put in that work, and that's how the company grows, because of your energy, your knowledge, your efforts. Now, what a lot of musicians think with music careers is that somehow they're different. Because they're creative, they can be messy. They don't need a schedule. They see Instagram posts of rappers and producers smoking weed, and they think, well, if I smoke weed and get drunk in the studio every night, I should just be able to blow up tomorrow, just like all these other rappers. Now you're seeing the end result. You're not seeing the process. So having a schedule and learning from that 9 to 5 structure and imposing that onto yourself, because you're your own boss. You don't have someone telling you, hey, get your lazy ass up on a Sunday morning and work on your social media, schedule your social media for the week. So you have to be the person that's telling you to do that stuff. Dame, what would some of your suggestions be?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. You have to have the self-discipline to organize yourself and get things done. So I don't necessarily have a 9 to 5, but obviously the Music Entrepreneur Club takes a lot of my time. I'm managing Futuristic. That takes a lot of time. I'm working with one of my frat brothers who's a public speaker, helping him with his digital presence. That takes a lot of time. I'm working with a comedian. That takes a lot of time. I'm consulting for Foundation Media. I'm consulting for Fan Connect. Like, it's the same thing you guys are experiencing. Like, I have a lot of responsibilities, but I keep my schedule. I make sure that I don't double book my meetings. Like, I don't know, I wish I could share my screen. I would show you what my schedule looks like, and you could just see how I just make sure I get everything done. I try to be as organized as possible. Like, with the Music Entrepreneur Club, we have our meetings every Tuesday at 9 a.m. And that's that check-in and making sure everybody is doing what they're supposed to be doing, what needs to be put on our plate for this next week, what do we need to get done before the next Tuesday. And I have similar meetings for everybody that I'm working with. So, you just have to put in the work. At the end of the day, if you want a career in music, or if you want to, whatever you're aspiring to do or be, if you want it, you got to make it happen. Some people have the luxury of, maybe having some rich parents and they're supporting their career, and some people have to work 2 or 3 jobs. Like, at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter to the music industry. You just got to get the work done, and you just got to make it happen if this is really what you want. I mean, it's plain as that, I guess.
All right, we got two questions that I really want to address. One is from Hafiz Yusuf. He says, "Do you think a YouTube account will give me more exposure for Instagram or vice versa? In addition, how do I drive traffic to my BeatStars?" Now, check this out. Just to clear the air, no platform, whether it's BeatStars, whether it's Airbit, whether it's your own Wix site, whatever it is, no platform is going to sell beats for you. You can't go starting a website where you're selling something and expect people to just find it. So do I think you need a YouTube? Yes, absolutely. YouTube is still, I believe, the #1 source for music discovery on the internet. And somebody, who was it? They said something really smart. Sin Beats, SYN, shout out to him. He said YouTube is a search engine. And yes, it is. Absolutely. It's a search engine, much like Google. And so learning SEO, which is the way you get your products, in this case, it would be beat videos, in front of people who are searching for specific terms. That's what you need to do with YouTube. Now, where I want to kind of correct what Simbeats is saying, he's saying, well, I don't know if he's saying this. I would add to it and say that Instagram is also a search engine, because you have hashtag searches, you have and those are effective, and you can actually track using their analytics how effective your hashtags are, right? So using as many platforms as you can and trying them all out to see how they fit your branding is my suggestion, because there's still, we're talking about Instagram and YouTube. Obviously those are two big ones, but there are producers using RapChat, there are producers using SoundClick, there are producers using SoundCloud, there are producers using AudioMac, there are producers using all types of platforms. There are producers uploading their beats. Bubba Got Beats does this straight to Spotify. You know what I'm saying? So there are all types of ways for you to drive traffic back to your BeatStars page. The thing that you have to do is, I use Twitter, believe it or not, to do that a lot. The thing you have to do is make sure that you are driving people back to that BeatStars page. Another question that had to do with this question was from Arcade. He says, my issue is a lot of artists ask me for beats. Then when I tell them the price, they just never buy it. They go to my site and listen, but don't buy it. Now that's a question that is hard for.
Hey, before you go to that one, can I just put my 2 cents in on
Oh yeah, of course.
platforms? I mean, I really think you should be using all of the relevant ones, and you should have a specific strategy for each one in terms of the type of content you post. But if you're a producer, all of the platforms should be driving back to your beat store, right? The YouTube in the description, it should have the link back. Whatever you put on Twitter, it should have the link to buy the beat. But you should have a strategy for everything. And if I was you, and this is what I have for futuristic, like I have a Google Doc that has like our process for releasing music, right? So what do we do on Twitter when he's dropping music every 1st and 15th of the month, right? So on Twitter, what are we posting and how are we posting it? You know, on Facebook, what are we doing? What are the ads we're running? On YouTube, we're probably obviously going to post a full video because it's a song and a video every 1st and 15th. You know, when we send out our email, so we have our email blast that we send out, we have our text marketing blast that we send. You should have a process for how you release your content, and you stick to it and refine it over time as you learn what's working best. Not only as you learn what's working best, but you're also tasked with understanding how each one of these platforms is changing over time, because Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, they're constantly making changes to their algorithm, and that's going to change up your strategy. So if Facebook is changes their algorithm or they're favoring certain type of content, you want to change your strategy for Facebook so that you can take advantage of that change and you can take advantage of it first. So in addition to having a strategy, you need to be up on everything of what's happening on all these different platforms because their platforms are constantly changing. We're in the midst of seeing what Instagram is doing with IGTV. I don't even quite understand it yet. I don't know if they understand it yet. All I know is they're tinkering with it and they're starting to give IGTV videos a little bit more exposure. Because I accidentally posted a video, the MEC tour promo video, and it started getting a bunch of views. When I first posted videos on IGTV when it first came out, like our videos would get like 50 views, 60 views. I put the MEC tour promo video on there, started to get 4,000, 5,000 views. So they're doing something there. I don't know exactly what it is, but long story short, they're changing the platform. You need to stay up on you know on how it's changing so you can adjust your strategy accordingly.
Here's a question for you, Dame. Julio Sirius says, much props and blessing. I know it's a question for me, but I think you might have more insight. Is it better to collaborate with as many artists as possible or build a core few of artists to develop your own sound?
As a producer, I would work with as many artists as many dope artists if you find like there's a lot of local talent, or even not just local talent, but if there's, you know, I would work with as many young talented artists as I could, and try to, you know, really deepen that relationship with them. So hopefully as they grow, they continue to work with you. Um, I would try to put my eggs in as many baskets as possible. And then, you know, if you can develop a relationship, if there's an artist that's talented and you can develop a relationship where, you know, they will help with your branding as well, where it could be kind of like a duo thing, like that would be dope. You know, but until you find that partner, I would just work with as many dope artists as you can. But eventually you might come across an artist that wants more input, where there's like where you guys are more of like a group or a duo, and if they're dope and you guys have good chemistry, I think that, you know, I think that could be the way to win right there if you guys could grow together.
Well, we have a lot of stuff. We're at about 100 people tuned in right now, so we have a lot of great conversations going on. Okay, Arcade wants insight on his question, which is he's not sure why people aren't buying his beats. I mean, here's the thing, man. I have no idea why people aren't buying your beats. I haven't heard your beats. I don't know what your upload schedule is. I don't know what kind of bulk deals you offer. I don't know how consistent you are in uploading new material. I don't know what kind of layout you have. I don't know if you have calls to action in your videos when you post them on YouTube. If you are posting them on YouTube, I don't know what platforms you use. I don't know what your keywords are. What I will tell you is this: the more people listen to your beats, more likely you are to sell them. I mean, the beats on YouTube that get 1 million views are obviously selling better or more often than the beats that are getting 1,000 views, right? So if you can increase the amount of eyes on you, then you're going to increase the amount of um,
What happened?
I'm sorry, man. People are talking. Someone said Kato looks like an egg.
That's
I can
okay.
laugh because all that happens to me is I get insulted every damn day on social media. So I would say just focus on the SEO strategy, focus on the marketing, focus on someone said, yo, stop body shaming, Kato. Real talk. Um, Focus on getting, because your frustration is with you're talking to these artists and they say that they're about to buy a beat and then they never do. That happens to me every day. It's been happening to me every day of my life since I started making beats. But focusing on the people that aren't completing the purchase isn't going to get you anywhere. You got to focus on the people that are. So, really finding um, finding receptive audiences should be the play. Now, that might take a lot of work. It might take a little money too. I mean, you can start building up cold audience. Check the video that it's actually from a Music Entrepreneur Club session, but we released the whole thing live. It's with Mike Trampy. He's explaining how to build cold audience on Facebook to market your beats, Facebook and Instagram, because the platform advertises to both Facebook and Instagram. Facebook owns Instagram, in case anyone didn't know that. So he's showing you how to, and it takes an initial investment of a few dollars a day maybe, to what are people talking about, to just get the music, to get the beats in front of potential customers, and then tracking their data using the pixel, and then slowly but surely starting to build up a core group of customers and then remarketing them. Now, so here's another question that you should ask yourself is that, are you, once they're downloading your free beats, right? What happens? Do you collect their email address? Are you sending emails to them, your base of subscribers a couple times a month? How are your emails being worded? There's a lot that goes into it. So it sounds to me like you just need to really evaluate what it is you're doing, and what it is, where the weak points in your marketing strategy and remarketing strategy are, because you said you've been doing it for a while. And then to piggyback off of that, because this is related directly, what did someone say? I got enough with you. This was from my feed to Yusuf. How much money should we be spending on these platforms for promotion? I'm not going to tell you a dollar amount because there's no magic number. What I will tell you is, and this has worked for me, this is straight out of Mike Trampy's book of social media marketing. Start low. Don't jump into a campaign that you've never run before and spend $20 a day, $100 off the bat, $300 off the bat. Don't do that. So my suggestion would be start low. Start with $1, $1.50, $2 a day on these ads. Run them for a couple weeks. You only spent 20 some odd dollars after 2 weeks. You can afford to lose 20 some odd dollars. And if the ads aren't converting, you got to figure out why, go back and fix it. And, if suddenly you get into a rhythm where you found the right audience, you've advertised, or you've reached you've optimized your ad in a way that's reaching people, you're getting conversions, you're getting clicks, whatever it is. All right, cool. Now you can consider putting more money into that. But I'm not an advocate of you just dumping money blindly into ads. And if you want to use these platforms, don't hit the promote post button, don't hit the boost post button. Those are not the most advanced ways. Learn, go on YouTube. There are tons of videos on how to use Facebook Business Manager. Certainly take notes. It's a science. There are people who get paid thousands of dollars to run ads for businesses. So knowing that and knowing how deep it is, just be prepared to take it seriously. I don't know if you want to add to that thing.
No, what I would say to producers that want to learn how to sell beats is if I was a producer and I'm like, okay, how do I sell my beats online? I would just follow everybody that I know is selling a lot of beats online and, just steal ideas from them. Look at their presentation, check out the quality of their beats, see how many beats are in their beat store, see how they're tagging them. There's a lot of information right in your face of people that are successful. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can take a lot of those strategies and then layer your unique brand on top of that. Be consistent, and I would think you would find success. But if you can see a clear difference between the top beat sellers and what you're doing, obviously, there's a problem. If you see a difference in the quality of presentation and the quality of the beat, then you can't expect to be selling a ton of beats because it's obvious that these guys have something, or they've just been in it longer, or they're just more polished about the way they're going about things than you are. And it's going to take some time to get to that level.
Yeah. That's the other thing, managing expectations. It wasn't until, and look at me, I'm killing myself to upload beats every single day, every single day. But it took me a while to get to the point where I even saw the value in that. And once I saw the value in really investing a lot of time and energy um, into my upload schedule and building my catalog and staying consistent, do I want to do this forever? No. I'd like to drop down to maybe 3 beats a week, but right now, if it's working, it's working. And once I got to that point, it's like, if it's working, I need to continue. And
Here's another gem that I should charge for. But when I ran Funk Volume, like, we sold beats on our website, right? And initially all the beats were produced by Hobson or my brother. But eventually Hop didn't want to put beats, or he didn't have the time to make extra beats, or whatever it was. So I would just reach out to producers, and we eventually signed some producers as well, and just have them put beats on our site. And then we would split the proceeds 50-50 because artists wanted Funk Volume beats. And it was just another way to create some passive income. So if I was a producer, I would also reach out to other artists, labels, maybe even some brands where it makes sense. Like, hey, have you guys ever considered putting a beat store on your website? I'll supply you the beats. We can split it 50-50 and we can create some passive income. I would definitely look for a partner like that if I was an up and coming producer and I didn't have a platform yet. Because we didn't even used to market the beats. Like, people would just find out about them, and we would probably sell anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 in beats every month. And we weren't running any ads. We weren't doing anything. And people were just coming to the site and buying them because they wanted beats from Funk Volume. So if anybody does that and is successful, feel free to hit my PayPal with some change.
all right, let me make sure we don't have any more questions. We've been going for an hour now. I want to shout everybody out and thank them all for tuning in. And I also want to remind you that if you are in the West Coast and parts of the Southwest, we are touring www.mectour.com, and we will be in some major markets talking about this stuff and way more in great detail, live and in person. So we'd love to see you out there. But if not, if you want to talk to us and a lot of other industry professionals, we've had everybody from Song Trust to Cash Money AP on as guests. musicentrepreneurclub.com is our online music mentorship platform. So we'd love to see you as members. You can join for free for a couple of weeks, try us out, and see if you want to commit. I'm going to post a link right now to that.
Yeah. For people that are watching this that aren't yet part of the Music Entrepreneur Club, you should definitely at least try the free trial for 2 weeks. The people that we bring to the table, and I run the sessions every Monday, Payne and Cato run the sessions every Tuesdays for producers. But we're constantly bringing to the table quality people that have great information to share. One of the challenges of pursuing a career in the music industry is just the amount of bad information. So, we try to bring people to the table so you can hear directly from them what they're doing, right? So if we bring somebody from TuneCore on, you can ask them, okay, what is your value proposition? Why are you different from DistroKid? Why should I use you instead of CD Baby or SongTrader? And then we'll give you our opinion as well. But there's so many different things that you need to learn about the music industry. It's important to have a resource like ours where you can come and know that you're getting the right information and you're not spinning your wheels. So to have access to something like that for $10 a month or $25 a month, if you want access to the Tuesday session as well, like that's super cheap for the value of information that you're in. And we want it to be that way. We want it to be a low barrier to access what we're doing. We're not trying to, make a killing off this. But we do need young people to know that there's a value to good information, and so there should be at least a low barrier to trying it. But musicentrepreneurclub.com. I'd love to see some new people in our sessions every Monday night. We start at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then lastly, again, just a reminder about the tour. We're doing Phoenix, Denver, Vegas, the Bay, and LA. And then we'll extend it if the demand is in your city. So let us know what cities we should come to. Yeah, and Payne, appreciate you having me on tonight, man. This is dope. We're gonna have to do it again.
Oh, and here's a great way to sign off. MVD Beat says maybe someday Music Entrepreneur Club can be a perk of having a premium BeatStars account. I like where this is going. I like where your head is, MVD Beats. We're going to talk to BeatStars about that. Once again, Dame, appreciate you for joining. Shout out to you for sitting there silently as that one dude hated on Funk Volume. And then
somebody said something about Funk Volume. What did he say?
Oh, you didn't see it? Never mind. No, nothing happened. Anyway, shout out to.
What do you say? I'm here for the. I got a few extra minutes for the pettiness. That's what I came for. What did he say?
It was mad long ago. Something about you killing Funk Volume. Like the usual Dame Ritter comments.
Oh man. Oh damn. I wish we gotta find somebody that's willing to go live with me that can say these things so we can actually have a dialogue when they jump out the window and say these ridiculous things. I wait for the day. I try to get people. Matter of fact, when Funk Volume was crashing and burning, or shortly after, people were attacking my page, and I was trying to find somebody to invite to have a live conversation. And like every time somebody said that they would do it, they just wouldn't show up for one reason or another. I even tried to get Hobson to come live with me. I welcome the conversations, and every once in a while I'll have some time for the pettiness. So if there's somebody watching and wants to debate the Funk Volume debacle, we could do it live on Payne's channel so he gets the views or whatever. And I'm happy to do it. It has to be during my petty hours, so it's about this time on Wednesdays and Thursdays. That could be Dame's petty hour.
Okay, I like petty hour because it has good alliteration. All right. Oh God, more Cato insults. All right. Shout out to everybody for tuning in. We're gonna try to go live on my channel more often. Appreciate all of your support.
I'm out. Peace.
Peace. Subscribe for more. Don't be the last to know when this goes down. Appreciate all of you. Thank you.